Hello and welcome to Glasgow Rangers Nation with me, your host, Aaron James. Channel brings you all the latest Rangers news. Well, the international break is virtually done and dusted, virtually over, virtually completed, virtually coming to an end. Thank God we will have real football back, finally, back on Sunday. Yeah, Sunday, 12 o'clock kickoff against Kilmarnock at home. Well, that should be an interesting game nonetheless. Right, so what's been going on? Where are we up to? What's been going on at Rangers? What's been going on internationally? What have our players been up to in recent times, in recent games? Well, let's talk a bit of Nations League first of all. We'll just recap those key points, key scores from tonight. Obviously, Scotland were in action tonight. Who else was in action tonight? Wales in action tonight as well. We'll just recap over the last last 24 to 48 hours with the Nations League, and then we're going to look a little bit at a bit of John Souttar news. John Souttar, who was outstanding for Scotland against Portugal. It's a very, very strong Portugal team, and we've got a little bit more on that behind closed doors friendly that was between Dundee and Rangers at Auchenhowie. A little bit more detail on that one, who was playing, where they played, etc., etc. Some important, some interesting, shall we say, news about that one. Well, let's talk a little bit of Nations League first of all, shall we? So let's go to Monday night. What games interest us? Albania 1-0 winners away in Georgia. Christian Asliani scored, but as we know, our boy played, was substituted when it came off, which is good. I suppose he got a rest, but did play on the left-hand side for Albania. Italy 4-1, Bosnia losing 2-0 to Hungary, Sweden winning 3-0 away in Estonia, Iceland 2, Turkey 4. But Ridvan will be really happy about that. France winning 2-1. Ukraine v Czechia, a 1-1 there. Lucas Sev getting the goal for Czechia, formerly known as the Czech Republic. Václav Černý did start, was substituted in that game as well. So obviously, got a rest. Didn't see any reviews of his performance actually after his criticism that he took in that recent game against Albania, where the Czech media pretty much slaughtered him. Wales won 1-0 against Montenegro. Get in, boys. Germany 1-0 over Netherlands. Interesting game. Like I've said before, I think a number of times, Germany-Netherlands is like war. If that's not a daft thing to say about the Germans. Controversial. Poland 3, Croatia 3, Spain winning 3-0 against Serbia. Kosovo 3, Cyprus 0, Switzerland 2, Denmark 2, Scotland a 0-0 draw with Portugal. We'll talk a bit more about that as well. Belarus versus Luxembourg, who cares? Northern Ireland 5-0 winners over Bulgaria. I remember those days when Bulgaria used to be a good team. No players no Ross McCausland are starting. Ross wasn't even on the bench for Northern Ireland, so disappointing times for Ross. Romania played away in Lithuania, won 2-1 against them. No start for Yanis Hadji. He was on the bench and did come on as a substitute in the past 2 games. For Romania. It's a bit of a run out for Yanis. But let's pick up the main point of that. Let's talk about John Souttar. Look, John Souttar is a player who has had, I think, some very unfair criticism. He genuinely has had some very unfair criticism. I think it's to blame for a lot of things. I think, if you look back across the last couple of games, John Souttar gets pulled out of position an awful lot. But why does he get pulled out of position? It's not poor defending or not poor reading of the game. It's the fact that he's got to constantly cover for James Tavernier, who goes missing at right back. If you go back and you watch the last 2 games, a number of times you see John Souttar at right back because James Tavernier is having a little jog back at not very great speed. And John Souttar is having to cover the right back slot, which obviously splits the central defenders and causes a problem. Now, against Hibs, against St Johnstone, it's not too much of a problem because neither of those 2 teams are particularly good. But if you were playing Celtic or you were playing to some extent even Aberdeen this season or in the Europa League, that could cause a problem. Nerasheo Castanwejo was very impressive for Holland under 21s was it yesterday? I think Tuesday night. Was it Tuesday night? Monday night? I can't remember. He was very good though. Why we're not playing Castanwejo ahead of Tavernier, I do not know. Jesus Christ, Philip Clavell, sort it out, please. But John Souttar got the Man of the Match award for Scotland against Portugal. Apparently, he was absolutely outstanding, is what I'm reading. I didn't watch the game. I don't tend to watch a lot of international football. If I do watch international football, it's Wales. I certainly wouldn't watch Scotland. But John Souttar was man of the match. And like I said, all the reviews that I've read, that he was absolutely outstanding. I mean, and if you look as well at that front line of Portugal, and even their midfield to some extent as well, there is some exceptional talent in that squad. I mean, obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo stands out. Even at 39, the guy is still a threat. Diogo Jota of Liverpool, a threat. Conceição, very much an in-demand player on the right-hand side. Bruno Fernandes was there, Palhinha, Vilinha. But, Fernandes, Jota, Ronaldo, and Conceição, a very potent attacking group of players. Cristiano, who I think was John Souttar's response to that one, wasn't it? I didn't actually say that. It's kind of what his performance showed. I've got to say, look, John Souttar this season has done very well for me at times. And yeah, there's been times when he hasn't performed as well and has made the odd mistake. But this is the point I keep making, and this is the point I wish that his critics and those who say, "Oh, he's got a mistake in him." Yeah, he does this, he does that. I think what you've got to kind of realize out there is that if John Souttar was perfect, John Souttar didn't have that mistake in him. If John Souttar, was consistently the player that we see blocking the shots, bringing it out from the back, distributing it really well, putting in those good tackles, marking a man, holding a man down, and the way he plays the game, then he'd be playing in England. He'd be playing in one of the top 10 clubs in England. I mean, that's genuinely where he would be. But the fact he's got that mistake in him is why he's at Rangers. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful to our club. Please understand that. What I'm saying is, obviously, the markets we shop in, the price brackets we can shop in at the moment are way under what a world-class defender is, what a top-class defender is. John Souttar is a good defender, a good, solid defender. That's what he is. He's not world class. He's not obviously in the same bracket as a Ibu Konate or a William Saliba or a Gabriel or a Virgil van Dijk or someone of that ilk. He's nowhere near one of those guys, but he is a very good defender. And I think the criticism he gets for Rangers and the blame he gets is very unfair. Like I said, a lot of time he's covering for away with James Tavernier. He's got a new central defensive partner who's having to sort of bed into Scottish football, who's not used to the game, who's struggled at times this season. I mean, John Souttar, for me, has done outstandingly well this season. And I think, like I said, the criticism is way, way, way north of the mark. It really genuinely is. And I think, congratulations to John today for what he's done. And like I said, this Portugal team is not an easy team to play. That front three in itself of Jota, Ronaldo, and Conceição have all scored goals at the highest level, have played, in the case of Ronaldo, for Manchester United, Real Madrid, Juventus. Diogo Jota plays for Liverpool. These guys play for some of the biggest clubs in world football, or have played for some of the biggest clubs in world football, in the case of Cristiano Ronaldo. And John Souttar did an outstanding job against them. So, look, I think we've got a good defender there. I think we've got a very, very talented defender there. And someone I think, could be part of a really golden future at the back for Rangers with the right players around him. And I think that a lot of that depends. And I think a lot of the cutting the mistakes out of Souttar's and cutting the positional problems that he has out of the game would be dropping James Tavernier. And I think this is what a lot of fans don't realise, is the issues that are caused when you're having to cover for someone who isn't doing their job right. I'm sure we all have that at work. I'm constantly doing that. But, this is just the way it is. And John Souttar, I think, like I said, gets a lot of unfair criticism in my own estimations. But well done, John, tonight. Outstanding against a very good Portugal team. Okay, right. Now, yesterday we talked about what Tony Docherty had said. We talked about the Dundee game against Rangers behind closed doors at Auchenhowie. We know that obviously during these international breaks, at times teams do like to have these bounce games behind closed doors. Obviously behind closed doors for a reason, because if they don't go well, they don't want the fans slagging them off. They're not shown on YouTube or any other channels, just because, like I said, they don't want them to get out. Now, of course, you look at a practice game and there is not the same intensity there's going to be in a league game or a cup game, because there's no 3 points on the stake. There's no progression to the next round. And players understand that, flying into tackles, causing each other damage in what is effectively a high-intensity training session is not a great idea. Now, Tony Docherty talked a little bit about saying that, Rangers put a strong team out. And now, I did belittle that a little bit yesterday by mentioning obviously the players who were missing: Václav Černý, Nadim Badrami, Casemiro, etc., etc. So look, I did say that, and I find out a little bit more about this game. This is what Tony Docherty had to say when he was talking to the media. He says, we both put out our strong teams and all the players out with those who were away on international duty were involved. So basically what he's saying, to qualify what he was saying, is he's saying he put out his strongest team and Rangers put out their strongest team without the internationals included. I would still love to see full details on this team, who started in goal, who started up front, etc., etc. Now, Docherty went on to say this: Rangers had a really strong team with James Tavernier, Cyril Dessers and Robin Proper, most of their top players. So Tav, Dessers and Proper were all involved. Obviously, Proper was a big summer signing. Dessers is either the next coming of Ronaldo, if you listen to some of our fans, or absolute pure unadulterated shite if you listen to some of our other fans. There is a huge split on the terraces when it comes to Cyril Dessers. Proper, I think, still settling in, not playing his best all the time. Rangers were the same because we made the arrangement with them and that we wanted a proper game. So there was a commitment there from both teams to play a proper game, to have a proper game out there on the field at Auchenhowie. And I think Dundee probably would have been loving it, playing on a real grass surface that the global warming doesn't affect. It was great to get the boys back on the grass, and it was pleasing. We got a result and a clean sheet, which was important. I took a full squad of about 14, and they all played. Now, look, I get it's a bounce game. I get it's a workout and all that. But what is concerning there for me is you've got three supposed top players unable to affect the game. James Tavernier, obviously, who is in the team because he is brilliant going forward. His assists are fantastic and his goals are brilliant. Not that they've happened very often this season. He's been quite poor. Cyril Dessers, who is apparently a goal-scoring machine. Like I said, if you talk to some of our fans, or pure unadulterated dog meat, if you listen to someone else, didn't score yet again. And obviously, Robin Proper was part of a defence that let a goal in. So we don't know who was in goal. Though. Could have been Kelly, could have been Munn, could have been Butland. We don't know. Okay, I'm only picking up snippets from what people are saying who were in attendance at the game, namely the staff, the players, etc. Right, so I'm not particularly worried about losing a bounce game to Dundee. I don't think, when this comes to the Kilmarnock game, the Aberdeen game, all these games, it's going to affect anything that happens on the field. The fact we lost 1-0 to Dundee in a game behind closed doors. However, what it does spell is a fundamental major issue that Rangers have at this moment in time. And it's not the only one. We do have a few. Okay. I know we have a lack of a number 6. I know we have the lack of wingers, talented wingers at this moment. Either all injured or just not very good. We've got a lack of a real right back. We've got no real captain. We haven't got, we're missing a centre half. There's a lot of things that we're missing. One of the things we are genuinely missing, and it's not just me saying this, I think it was Tam McManus was talking about it the other day, and I've heard certainly Chris Boyd talk about it as well, and other analysts talk about this, when they look at our club. And the big thing that is missing at Rangers is a clinical goal scorer that you can truly depend on to put the ball in the back of the net when it genuinely matters. Now, they're not 10 a penny. They cost a fortune because they put the ball in the net, which is the most valuable commodity in football. I think you'll find that you've got at the moment expensive goalkeepers, expensive sixes, and expensive strikers. Why? Because goalkeepers keep the ball out of the net and can win you games with their saves. Sixes seem to be the new 10s in terms of the metronome that keeps a team ticking over. And then strikers obviously are the golden ones, the ones that put the ball in the back of the net on a consistent basis. Now, Rangers have often, I think, in the last couple of seasons, really lacked a real finisher, someone who they can rely on. When the going gets tough, chances are few and far between. The ball drops to them, and instantly that ball is in the back of the net. Now, with Cyril Dessers, you cannot depend on that. The ball drops to his feet. It could go wide. He could fall over it. He could bounce off him. It could go over the bar. It could go in the goal. It could literally go anywhere of a number of places because the guy is massively unreliable. So, look, it's the one area I think that we are genuinely missing a real clinical striker. Genuinely could make a huge difference to this team. I mean, you go back and you watch even some of the games we've played particularly poorly. We've created chances. We just have not put the ball in the back of the net. because there is no one up there who can hold the ball up well. I mean, Dessers, his first touch is like a £10 note. It just bounces off him the whole time. You know, witness the Kiev game, witness the Hibs game, witness the St Johnstone game, witness all those games where he played. You know, so look, I do think there is a real lack of a forward. And, you know, one of the things that's been aimed at Rangers a number of times, even the manager said, is that lack of a clinical edge up front, lack of a clinical edge in the team to put the ball in the back of the net. Now, I'm not pretending I know who's out there. I'm not pretending, you know, that I don't have a multi-million-pound scouting network. My name is Niels Coppel. I don't have computers to sit there. I don't have the time or the money to sit there and analyze astronomical amounts of data. I don't have people calling me, telling me, oh, you've got to watch this player, you've got to watch that player. Okay, I'm not a director of football. But what I'm stating is what I see as a fan, what I watch as a former coach. You know, what I see as someone who's done scouting, has done, like I said, has done coaching. We don't have that clinical cutting edge. We don't have that real finishing ability in the team. And that is a major concern for me, a major, major concern. And I think come January, I would really be looking to bring in another striker. I mean, Igman is a kid learning the game. Dessers is just, like I said, unreliable. And Danilo is always injured. So there is, for me, a real need to bring in someone who we can rely on when the going gets tough, when we're playing against Celtic, against Aberdeen. This season it looked good in the Europa League. And the ball falls to them, they put the ball in the net. Dessers' record against Celtic is poor. His record against Aberdeen is poor. His record in Europe is poor. You know, yes, he scores against the shit teams, which is what the standard he's at, but we do lack someone who can put that ball in the back of the net. And if we had that player, I think last season we win the league. I think this season we stand a much better chance of closing the gap on Celtic and getting up there and really contending. I think if we go into the rest of the season with Dessers as our out-and-out striker, our number 9 or number 1, we won't win anything. We'll win absolutely nothing. We won't win the league. We won't progress in the Europa League. We won't win the Scottish Cup. Celtic will win all that, apart from the Europa League. Obviously, we're still not in. But I genuinely feel that because we have that lack of a clinical cutting edge. It's a no-brainer for me. It genuinely is an absolute no-brainer for anyone who understands football and actually watches the games. All right, guys, I'd love to know your thoughts, your opinions on the stories we've covered in the video today. Obviously, please smash the sub, ring the bell, smash a like, drop a comment, do all that fantastic stuff, hit a share, whatever you need to do, guys, please obviously do it. Thank you so much for watching, and remember always, we are the people.